and welcome back to day 3 of the 6-5 Summit. In this next session, I'm talking to Heidi Brandow, VP of Talent and Growth at Cohesity. In this spotlight session, we're going to be discussing why fostering an inclusive workplace is key to success. Welcome to the 6-5 Summit, Heidi. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks so much, Melody. I'm really happy to be here.
We're happy to have you. Let's jump right in. Would you mind sharing a little bit about your background and just how you ended up in your role at Cohesity?
Sure, thanks. I have a background that has been pretty diverse, but one of the things that I've been focusing on for quite some time throughout my career is ensuring that operating in a world that is increasingly more safe and secure, not just for our children and our communities, but now also for businesses. And so the product that Cohesity develops and that intersection between data security and protection was really compelling to me. And then the opportunity to do that with some really creative, innovative thinkers really on the forefront of that industry was really what drew me to the company. And then the opportunity to grow and develop that company from where it is today to hopefully the leading company, data protection and security company in the world was irresistible.
That's awesome. So let's talk a little bit about what's going on at Cohesity. What's top of mind for you?
Well, I think like all companies in this time and space that we're living in, it's for us about engagement and culture. And when you think about how are we engaging our employees in a dispersed work environment, it can be really difficult, as you well know and have written about,
Mhm.
it can be really difficult to create culture in that dispersed environment. And are we making sure that the opportunities that we give to people are similar and as compelling, regardless of where they're located? And so for us, we're spending a lot of time around working through that, and that obviously dovetails nicely into diversity and inclusion. So, how are we creating that culture that will allow us to attract and retain and develop or a diverse workforce, and then evolving it as we grow? Because what we started with is, and what's working for us today won't necessarily work for us as we grow and scale this business. So, making sure that it's flexible is really critical. We started our diversity and inclusion before I even got here, back when the company was just about 1,000, 1,300 people. And it was a focus just on women in attracting and retaining more women into this space, which is a challenge for everyone in the technology space. But as we have grown the company and evolved, we now have to take a look at more elements of diversity and underrepresented talent, and how are we ensuring that diversity of all kinds really stays at the forefront of what we're doing.
And so you have something called the DEI Council. Can you tell me about that? When did it launch and what are the main goals and also just how's it going?
Thank you. Yes, the Diversity Council launched, I believe, in October of 2021. And what that is it's a cross functional group of employees that come together to really help us drive and determine our DEI strategy. So it's a little bit about building stronger teams, intentionally building and developing a culture in which everyone can thrive. And our DEI council really helps us.
So the DEI Council has 3 work streams as I understand it. Can you explain more about that?
Sure. We do have three, and the first one is the workforce work stream, and that focuses on helping us to attract and hire the best talent. So ensuring that our hiring practices are as free from bias as they can possibly be, and mitigating that throughout the process, so that employees coming in can see themselves as potentially um, strong contributors to Cohesity and its mission. So we want them to be as attracted to us as we are to them. The second one is workplace, and that's once employees are brought into the company, we want them to have a sense of belonging. So we work with our ERGs really to foster that sense of culture and belonging across the organization, so that employees have the opportunity, regardless of where you're coming from, to do the very best work of your career, grow and develop in an environment where you feel a strong sense of belonging and connection to others. And then the third one is marketplace. And this is one I'm really excited and passionate about. This is how we focus on ensuring that Cohesity is also making an impact, not just for the talent we want to see or the talent that we hire, but also for the communities in which we work and serve. So, the way that this shows up is things like us investing in Afrotech, right? Ensuring and helping to attract and develop more Black employees and professionals into technology. Another way that we've invested in the community through Marketplace is by sponsoring the Silicon Valley Pride Parade. So these are things that will enable our employees to connect, not just the great feelings that they have at the company, but also invest that in the communities, healthy employees, healthy, high performing company. And those three things together really help to drive a strong culture of connection and DEI in Cohesity.
So you mentioned employee resource groups as part of the strategy. How does that connect with the DEI Council?
Yep. So we have in our ERGs, it's really about three things. It's about creating a connection for employees so that they can connect and meet other people that they have shared with whom they have shared interest or shared passions, and that can be somewhat difficult to do in a dispersed workforce, right? You don't
Mhm.
have the opportunity to just meet someone and go for coffee or walk to your next meeting together, but the
Mhm.
ERGs really create that sense of community where people can share that connection with one another based on similar backgrounds or shared interests. And once that happens, it really does help to drive the culture that we're trying to co-create with our employees around that culture of diversity and inclusion. We encourage all of our employees, regardless of their background or their ethnicity, to participate in the ERGs. We believe that through these, we create a strong sense of belonging. It also helps us to mitigate bias and increase the capacity or capability, if you will, of our employees to be allies in ways that are helpful to underrepresented communities rather than ways that we might assume would be helpful. So it really does help to improve both the employee engagement, which is really critical for us, but also employee performance. We know that when employees can bring their whole self to work and they feel like they're operating in an environment where they belong, that is a big driver of performance as well. So it's a good people strategy, it's a good business strategy, and it's something that we're really passionate about co-creating with our employees.
Yeah, that's great. I read a statistic, you probably know this way better than I do, but something about, people who have a friend at work are, X percentage more likely to stay. So, certainly it's a retention strategy, which clearly is a great business strategy. Um, and you also mentioned, just people's mental health in that capacity. So you have an ERG that is dedicated to mental health. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, we actually have 6 ERGs, one of which is our Thrive network, and that is designed to focus on employees' happiness, health, and well-being. So that's a little bit different and maybe on the edge of what some companies would have as an employee resource group, but especially the last several years, it has been, in the pandemic and certainly post pandemic, it's become really important for leaders in a company to focus on how are you managing the well-being of your team, not just their performance and their engagement, but also their well-being. As a learning and development person or a talent person, that's always been in the edge of what my field has been thinking about, but it has really expanded to be something everyone needs to be thinking about in order for us to be as productive as we can in the workplace. So our our Thrive network helps to connect employees to those resources that help them drive access to things like um, mental health resources, well-being resources. How are you staying healthy and thriving at work, and how do you do that in the environment in which we work and play every day?
Yeah, well, you definitely have an important job to do. I mean, it's very clear that your commitment to fostering an inclusive workplace is a key ingredient to Cohesity's success, and I've really loved hearing more about it. Thank you again for being part of the 6-5 Summit and sharing your insights with us. It was really great to talk to you.
Thanks, Melody. It was nice speaking with you. Take care.
Thanks, everyone, for joining us at the 6-5 Summit. Be sure to check out all the other on-demand sessions from top tech leaders throughout the industry.